Saimara, Shaba, Samburu, and Amboseli. Now, no conversation is ever complete without talking about the weather. Depending on one's preference, there is a variety of favorable conditions within the country. The varied altitude gives the country unique patterns. Sun lovers can enjoy humid warm to hot climate at the popular Kenyan coast along the Indian Ocean and the inland region around Lake Victoria, the second largest freshwater body in the world, which is also the source of the River Nile. The Kenyan highlands are cool with relatively high rainfall and can be cold at night, especially around mountains regions. Near desert conditions in the semi-arid northern Kenya provide wilderness for the strong and adventurous. What a variety! Kenya is one of the few African countries that offer the sea, land and forest, mountain and lake experience in one territory. Kenya is also a linguistic and cultural melting pot with over 42 indigenous communities and people of other nationalities who have made Kenya their home. Top naturalist, world-renowned artists and iconic personalities have survived this well-preserved gem at the heart of Africa. Kenya, my land. You too can be part of the experience.
Unataka kusema ujui sisi ni akina nani?
Ni kama sikukumbuki.
Tiffany, sio wewe.
What are you talking about?
Mama Paul hajakwambia. Please, if you find her, tell her Joel is normal.
I pray that God gives you and the rest of the family the strength to pull through this.
But I just want you to know we are in this together.
Amen. Amen.
Is it something that will get me in trouble?
It's the second time I'm getting this question today.
I hope you're not trying to show them that you can be a better daughter-in-law.
Really, Gasheri?
Thank you, but your services are no longer needed here.
Unajua mimi hata naweza endelea na job yangu ya content creation.
Is that even a career?
Huyu ni kichwa ngumu huyu.
So baby, I'm telling you, I'm sorry, but I'm leaving you. You never should have made me cry. I'm sorry, but I'm leaving you. It's like I checked it in rehab, and baby, your body's easy. Your body's easy, yeah. It's like I checked it in rehab. Can somebody help me, please?
My name is Carol Mill and I am 9 years old. My future plans are to grow up and continue be hardworking and become a footballer when I grow up.
She is my sister's child. Atieno needs no pay.
So, the ladybird went on holiday. Let's find out exactly what the ladybird had.
Today I'm going to show you guys on how to make the yummiest marble cupcakes at the comfort of your home.
We have Arushi and she's going to show us how to make a butterfly.
Where do you think you're going? It's so late. What's wrong? I said I can't stay.
The 17th day of May 2023 it is. Good morning. This is the great KBC and you're just in time for KBC News Check. And of course, News Check is a program crafted for you to ensure that you are kept afloat with all the latest happening in the country. And today we will be focusing on this first hour on MSMEs, the micro, small and medium enterprises, and we'll be hosting the PS of SMEs, State Department for MSMEs, a little bit later. But just to touch on matters MSMEs, young and also the industrials, we have our weekly feature, Young and Industrials. But before we do that, apologies on this quite chilly and cold morning here in Nairobi. Apologies, my voice is a little bit rusty. But we are also keeping tabs with the Kenya-Singapore relations at the JKIA. We are also keen on the inauguration of the Military Veteran Advisory Committee right here in Nairobi. And also there is the loyalty program launch at the Macua here in the county of Nairobi. Just to underscore some of the news shaping headlines that we are keeping tabs with this morning. But first things first, my name is Njue, and our sign language interpreter will be, is it Lensa Odingo? All right, let's first of all go for that feature on the young and industrials. For questions, suggestions, or even where you are watching us from, we highly recommend you to do that. Remember, we are live from the broadcasting house in the county of Nairobi and on all our social media spaces. So do that. Just first of all, let's get the young and industrials. Our sign language interpreter for this program will be Susan Thuku.
Ordinarily, worms are creatures that some, if not most of us, aren't comfortable interacting with. George Kamau was no exception throughout his childhood. But this changed shortly after graduating from his high school. That particular video and his instinctive need for money suppressed his phobia for worms. Now, almost 10 years down the line, and Kamau is literally feeding from the worms he will never touch at some point in his childhood.
We deal with black soldier flies, we deal with red worms, that is vermiculture and vermicomposting. We deal with azora, that is an aquatic plant for chicken feeds, pig, and other livestock animals. And also we deal with pigs and chicken.
Exactly how does Kamau multiply the worms so as the same can multiply his shillings through organic fertilizer?
When you get the worms, you make one of these, we call them the beds, vitanda. Them or tunazizalisha ili ziwe nyingi.
Over and above the worms helping in fertilizer making, they also end up being animal feeds, especially when used together with the azolla plant, which is key in proteins for his pigs and chicken.
So hapa ndio tunafuga the black soldier flies. which is inatusaidia in terms ya ku produce protein for chicken, pigs and fish.
Nothing is standing in the way of Kamau's vision. Never mind that ideally, the black soldier flies in the Azolla plant are normally not found in the highlands like Limuru, where his business is located.
They are very common in hot areas. So what we have done, that is why we are doing a greenhouse, to try and change the temperatures. So tukizifungia hapa, they get to be productive as compared to tukifanya in the open.
Having to improvise a habitat is not the only challenge the 28-year-old has had to face.
Yote inabaki ya soko. That is what BSF zinatumia. So at times it gets to be challenging, one, to deal with the waste, and at times also the availability.
Kamau says his parents came through for him by allowing him set up his enterprise there, with the Youth Enterprise Development Fund fueling his growth.
As part of Youth Fund, we also do, we don't only do lending, we also do marketing and linkages. And we were able to link him with Kenya Institute of Climate Innovation Center. And he was able to get this tuk-tuk as from the people. We gave him a link and he was able to apply and he benefited with this tuk-tuk.
Had anyone told Kamau that Worms could pay his university fees, support his siblings or even create employment for him, he would have most probably dismissed them.
Hiyo biashara ndio inalipa hiyo pesa yote na pia inafanya mambo mengine pia.
Well, for Kamau and his Worms, there is a sad side to their relationship.
Now, did you know that black soldier flies have a specific place where they lay their eggs and they don't just do it anywhere? For young and industrious, I'm Wangare Washiri.
Athi River, Machakos County. We find Noah at his business premises tending to a client. The entrepreneur is in the process of leasing out a bike. He then takes me down his entrepreneur journey that started shortly after COVID hit the globe.
The idea came about when I joined Daystar in my second year. There were no other activities after classes which you can do around because there were no swimming pool. Then this tarmac road was being constructed. Then we had the hills. And with that resource, I came up with a biking idea to people where they can ride the bike at the hills. As they see the animals, we have giraffes, we have antelopes here. So I came up with the idea of come bike at Lukenya Hills.
In 2019 December, Noah went ahead and did a bike repair training and shortly afterwards bought 3 bikes to kickstart his business.
Actually, when I started doing business, my lecturer called Madam Celestine used to insist, meet the needs. That's where you get the idea. And that's how I started now thinking of how I can come up, I can meet the need of the students. So I don't just see any business around, then I want to do the same business. I try to find out, is this something that people need? Is this a gap in the market?
Noah has also ventured in biking events and competitions.
Looking forward to the 2nd edition of the Lukenya Hill Bike Challenge this end June. So I'm welcoming you all. Those people who feel they can cycle off-road at the mountain, karibuni sana.
Noah leases his bikes at what he terms as affordable prices.
So with 150 you can ride the bike for 1 hour. If you need a guide, if you are a new guest who is coming, you pay extra 150, so 300 for 1 hour. But for students, I normally charge them 150 for 1 hour.
He has also managed to add more bikes from the returns on his business.
I remember my first, when I started, I had 3 bikes. Right now we have 20 bikes. So that means the business is not doing bad. We are doing quite well. and we are trying to get more bikes because we are building more connections with the hotels, and the students are also increasing in number.
Occasionally, Noah would get clients that did not return his bikes.
I've had an instance where I lost 2 bikes, but from there I got my lessons, and I came up with various measures to curb that. So number 1, if you come to hire the bike, you must come with your either school ID or your national ID. Then I have to register you. I have a book where I record you, your name, your phone number, and you sign in. Then number 3, I take a photo of you. And then I'm also working on how I can put trackers on the bikes.
Noah advises young people to not just look for white-collar jobs.
And look around, get the resources which are available, and start your own business. So that, because if you're patient, automatically it will grow. And be creative.
Noah is a practical example of a young man who saw a need and decided to meet it, and is now reaping great gains. Reporting from Athi River in Machakos County, I'm Nisi Imano.
It is estimated that the Kenyan population requires at least 64 million pairs of shoes annually. In this episode of The Process, we take you behind the shoemaking process.
The raw materials for this process are sourced locally.
We normally get these leathers from our people who brought them from industrial area. There are some people who sells them in this market. So we normally buy from them. So you need a leather. We are normally using silica to make a pure shoe. We need the gum, we need the soles, we need the rivets. Those are the raw materials.
Here, the material presented are prepared based on the type that will be used.
When you want to make a shoe, you must have a pattern for that shoe. We have the officials, we have the back to schools.
Development is the first stage of shoemaking. It begins with the sketching of the shoe and preparation for the exact shape for the particular type to be made.
The patterns you draw the size of the shoes you want. So after drawing, we cut it.
After being cut, the pieces are taken to the skiving sector, where the cut pieces are made to have uniform thickness.
We balance. We are skiving because there are some areas. So when we skive it,
here, the pieces are joined to form the upper part of the shoe in a process known as lasting.
Go there straight away, the sewing machine. It's a process.
The pieces are sewed together by use of a sewing machine. The last is the external area of the shoe. The necessary adjustments are made, folds and glue is added to secure the parts until they can be joined by the stitching threads.
So it's there. We normally use gum. So when we put that gum for fixing it, we put the gum for fix the nyuma ya kiatu.
Glue is added to adhere the top region of the upper to the mounting insole, holding the last base design.
We are fixing with a sponge for a kiatu to be straight. So after that sponge, we are binding.
Promoting the Kenyan material. The truth is there are certain values.
Next comes the putting of eyelets. Then comes the stitching.
Top of the shoe, where we have already put the eyelets.
Then the sole is glued to the shoe. The shoe is exposed to heat to enable it to take shape. At the finishing sector, they use wax or polish, which gives the shoe a shine, smoothness, and adds durability to the material.
Once the glue has dried, we fix the shoelaces, and the shoe is considered ready for market. Reporting from Karioko in Nairobi County, I'm Nisi Emano.
Very well. If you are a young person or engaging in MSME, micro, small and medium enterprise, then this is the show for you. As I had alluded to earlier, is that we will be hosting the PS State Department for MSME, Madam Honorable Susan Mangeni. And allow me to delve straight into the discussion for this morning. Remember, we are live on our social media platform. Comments, suggestions or questions, or even where you are watching us from, we highly recommend. Madam Susan Mangeni, karibu sana studio.
Asante.
First things first, what is the status of MSMEs in the country right now? I know the head of state is very passionate about MSMEs.
Yeah, maybe we may want to begin by appreciating the role of MSME in our economy. We are an economy that is heavily driven by MSME. And if you look at even jobs that we have, most jobs are MSME created. And unfortunately though, we've not been having a strong focus on them, on developing MSME, that is to increase their capacity, promote their productivity, competitiveness and profitability. And I would say that we have really underexploited the capacity of MSME to contribute significantly to the economic growth in this country. I would say if you look at the architecture of our economy in this country, is that most small businesses, or rather most businesses in this country, are MSME. And out of those MSMEs, majority of them, more than actually 60% are informal. They are found in the first M, that is the micro. And even with that kind of status, or rather configuration, is that our economy still highly depends on them. And that's why I think with this current administration is that our president has really acknowledged the important role that MSME plays in an economy. There are very many parts of this world where, especially developed world, where MSME are the ones who are on the steering wheel, like most European countries, most Asian countries, is that when you put a focus on MSME and they're able to exploit their full capacity, then they will grow the economy. So I think that's what the head of state, in trying to reorganize our economy and promote economic growth, is placing a lot of emphasis on MSME support, MSME development support. Yes.
Is it more or less? I've seen in China, the economy of China has been quite transformed by cottage industries. Is this the same case that we are now trying to do?
It is the same case, because once you appreciate that the nature of our business and is at micro, is MSME, then you look at the interventions that can meet their needs actually down there. So like in China, is cottage industry, is the same thing we are saying. And when I talk about micro, I mean these are people who or businesses that do not have capacity to produce on large scale. However, it doesn't mean they don't have skills. They can have skills. Again, they may not have collaterals. They may not have the necessary networks that can link them to sustainable markets. But even in that minute setup of them, if they are brought together they are aggregated in numbers, then they will achieve that necessary bargaining power, that is to access financing and also to access sustainable markets. For example, if you are an MSME who is dealing, like let's say you are a cobbler, like our young brother there who was on the screen a few minutes ago.
Yes.
You know, yes, there is a huge market for shoes in this country, like it has been observed. But if you're one, you may not have the capacity to meet the demand. But if we see an opportunity there in shoemaking, in that leather value chain sector, and build the capacity of as many MSMEs or persons who will be interested there, give them access to financing, give them common user facilities for shoemaking, and also make sure that they can also now generate volumes which can meet the demand in the market, then that particular MSME will be competitive because of the aggregation. So once we appreciate that majority of MSMEs are micro, then we invest then in strategies and interventions that will build their capacity, enhance their capacity to become productive and to become competitive in the market. And as they do that, also to earn a living. And you see, once they start raising revenues that can enable them to earn a living, they will also become consumers. Yes. They will also go beyond from what they consume every day and also buy in the market and balance the market forces of demand and supplies, and in a way contribute to the growth of economy, of course, through various revenues and taxes, VATs, which will be now applicable in that consumption chain. But also significantly, we will expand the tax base. And this is how now the people at the top of the economic pyramid will be eased in terms of now shouldering the burden of those who are at the bottom of the economic pyramid.
Yeah, we have seen statistics that show that a lot of micro enterprises that mushroom, they shrivel up within 2 years. As a ministry, what are you doing to mitigate this? Because at the end of the day, we need this MSMEs to spur growth, just as you said.
Yes. So what we are doing as first and foremost, we must, of course, as a nation, we must commend His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, for first of all having thought it wise to have a state department that places more focus on the MSME development in this country, because what then that one has achieved is bridging the coordination gaps that has been existing in this sector. MSMEs are private sector, so I mean the government, any government in any economy in the world exists to facilitate the growth and productivity of the private sector. Because
apologies, just a minute, we need to rectify your microphone.
Okay.
But just in case you joined us, this is KBC News Tech, where we are looking at the state of MSMEs in the country. Well, you do know very well that President William Ruto has talked about spurring growth, and even during his campaign, he talked about MSMEs being the way to go. And another thing that he mentioned is value addition. Value addition, just like you saw in that feature that we carried, small businesses trying to make out to make a living. And as the PS talks about, is that they want this to spur the economic growth of the country. And also we are also keeping tabs with Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who is in Nyali, Mombasa. Well, we have a launch of fishing boats and security app financed by the EU. It is a collaboration of the Kenyan government and the European Union to advance the blue economy agenda through coastal development, which we are calling Go Blue, Italian cooperation components. If you have any questions, suggestions in regards to the MSMEs, all right, I'm informed that we are ready for that function. Let's first of all cross over. We will be back with this
I want to welcome
discussion.
you all here today on this occasion as the Governor of Kilifi County, as well as the Chair of the Njue County Pwani
Apologies, we do
in
see
enhancing the livelihoods of coastal communities in the blue economy sector. I also want to thank the Italian Agents for Development Cooperation, whose effort in implementing their component of the Go Blue Fisheries value chain has made this event possible today. These 26 boats will bring together small-scale fishermen from Nyali, Shimoni, Kibuyuni, Mukwiro, Mutwapa, Uyombo, Kipini, Amu, Mkwajamali fishing areas along the coast strip. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the other Go Blue implementing partners, GIZ, Portuguese, Commons, UN Habitat and UNEP, expertise, France for the interventions in skills development, tourism development, land sea planning, and maritime security governance, respectively. I may also acknowledge Njue County Zapwani for playing a critical role in the coordination of the Go Blue project. The Go Blue project is a clear demonstration of the EU's commitment to support and complement the government of Kenya efforts in promoting sustainable fishing practices, lifting the economic and social development of the coastal people, and protecting the marine environment and resources. Small-scale fishing is a critical economic activity in our region, providing a source of livelihood to thousands of families. It is important to note that this sector is vulnerable to a number of challenges, including overfishing, illegal fishing practices, and climate change. The provision of these boats will go a long way in addressing some of these challenges by enabling our fishermen to access fishing grounds that were previously out of reach, and also increase the number of fishermen having access to own boats, thus improving standards of living. I urge our fishermen to make good use of these boats and to work closely with their respective BMUs and the executives with the support of our county fisheries officers to ensure access to boat management scheme with the purpose of saving money in a dedicated savings account. This will ensure BMUs buy new boats to continually increase their capacities for every fisherman to go fishing. BMUs are also expected to play a critical role of ensuring that our marine resources are protected for the benefit of our current and future generations. Let us all commit to promoting sustainable fishing practices, protecting our marine ecosystems, and ensuring that our small-scale fishing communities can thrive. Through the support of our partners in the Go Blue project, we have been able to strengthen the capacity of our BMUs to carry out their mandates according to the Fisheries Management and Development Act of 2016. This includes providing training and technical support to enable them to monitor fishing activities and promote responsible fishing practices. I am aware that expertise France has worked closely with Kenya Coast Guard Services to equip the fishermen with sea survival skills and even donated watertight phone pockets, life jackets, and the coastal light application that will complement government efforts in monitoring activities at sea and report illegal activities for quick response by national agencies. From our side, as county governments, we commit to ensure the sustainability and continuity of the Go Blue project initiatives and invite future partnerships and collaborations with other European member states through blended finance to advance new projects in the blue economy sector. Finally, I would like to thank all the stakeholders who have been involved in the implementation of this project Your dedication and hard work have made this project a success, and we look forward to a continued collaboration as we work towards the common goal of improving the lives of our coastal communities. Once again, I would like to welcome you all to this event and thank you for your presence. Asante sana.
The one who dressed for the occasion, Your Excellency, the Governor for Lamu, knew today we're in a blue economy issues, and as the Council of Governors chair on blue economy, he wore blue and he's ever blue. Karibu.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency, Salim Vuria, the CS, Madam PS, Your Excellency, the governors present here, Your Excellencies, the ambassadors who are present here, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am, Your Excellency, I'm here in two capacities, as the Governor of Lamu County and also as the Chair of the Blue Economy Committee of the Council of Governors. I am pleased to join you today for this special ceremony on the donation of fully equipped fishing boats to the 6 coastal counties. Let me begin by commending all the partners involved in the Go Blue project. This is the EU, the GIZ, Italian Agency for Development Cooperation, Expertise France, LP of Portugal, UNEP, and UN Habitat. For sure, this project objective in building a transformative and sustainable fisheries sector in the Jumuiya of the counties, the Pwani member counties, is indeed being realized. It is my observation that the project has positioned the coastal counties to advanced opportunity in the blue economy agenda and enhance the capacity of the counties to sustainably utilize the coastal and marine resources for socio-economic development. This is in line with Jumuiya, the counties of Pwani long-term development blueprint, Jumuiya 2030, as well as the individual county integrated development plans. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, the coastal communities depend on fishing and fisheries economy and related activities. In fact, fisheries in Lamu County, fishing and fisheries activities account for over 70% of household income in Lamu East, Lamu Island, and the adjacent fishing villages inhabiting the shorelines in Lamu West sub-county.
That is the launch of the Fishing Boats and Security App, a project by the European Union and the Kenyan government. Live from Kilifi County, they are making their opening statements. We've had the Issa Timami, who is on your screen, who is the Lamu governor. Earlier on, we had Mombasa governor, and earlier on, we had Kilifi governor Gideon Mungaro. We will be getting to that function a little bit later. We're expecting the Deputy President to be also making his key state address in regards to that. Coming to you, Madam PS, from what we've heard from the opening remarks of Gideon Mungaro, why is it a huge potential, the blue economy tying to MSMEs?
Yeah, there exists a very huge potential in terms of enterprises for MSME. And by the way, let me also try to correct the notion that when we talk about MSME, we only meet them in the middle of the value chain. And this I mean, if you're talking about a value chain, you look at it from the downstream, which is now production level, up to you have then the middle, which requires the value addition, and the upstream, which is about the market, the market. So in that whole chain, there exist opportunities for each and for MSMEs in each and every level of the value chain. Now, we know we have farmers, fishermen, for example, in this particular sector of the economy. Those fishermen are MSMEs actually. So that's why, they are MSMEs. So MSMEs are fishermen, MSMEs are also farmers. It's about enterprising a way of life and any income generating activities or opportunities that surrounds us. So if you are in the blue economy areas, like for example, if you reside, those communities that reside along the lake, along the rivers, along the ocean, those communities are micro. They don't have capacity, for example, to fish on the large scale. They may not have collaterals to access financing, but remember they have a culture and a practice, and there is an opportunity for that kind of economic activity there. So how do we come in? We come in by developing the viable enterprises across that whole value chain. There is the actual fishing. They require fishing gears. They require the boats. But again, also they require knowledge and skills to know which kind of fish are they pulling out of water. Then from there, they require also skills to do value addition and the machinery that can facilitate them to do value addition. For example, if you are descaling the fish and packing, filleting the fish and packing for export. Those are skills and technology that they may not be having at the moment. So how do we come in? Once we appreciate that there is an opportunity there because there is a market, especially the expo market. By the way, when it comes to fish, for example, the fish, the fish we eat in this country, we don't produce enough. Most of it we have to rely to imports from outside Kenya to kind of try and satisfy the demand that we have in this country. But if we were sensitize our farmers, organize them, inform the entities, give them the necessary skills, give them the financing, and also help them access common user facilities like those now, the machine I'm talking about for filleting and stuff, they will gain that competitiveness that can enable them now access and sustain even expo market, even if not the local market. So that's one of the sector that actually we are looking keenly into and see now how do we organize communities around those regions to venture competitively in that particular value chain. But before that break, you remember I was just appreciating why we have this State Department and what really this State Department exists to do is that first of all to bring on board that coordination element of all the actors in the ecosystem, the MSME ecosystem, from the financials to the market to the key actors like the MSME themselves who are there, and also see how they can appreciate or even get to know that an opportunity exists here. We've had farmers sometimes who will tell you they've been encouraged, for example, and even given support to do fish caging. For example, if you look at the Lake Victoria region, but they don't have a market. When they harvest, there is no clear linkage to the market, so they end up selling them either at a low cost price because they fear if they were to continue keeping them, either those fish will over mature and start going bad, and they don't have even maybe cold storage facilities. So we come in to complete the value chain by bringing on board all actors and making sure that all actors appreciate who is doing what and what are opportunities to leverage on. Now, you talked about the high informality and what you're trying to do. Number one, you cannot be supported if we do not know you exist. What has been happening with our MSME is that we appreciate what they've been doing. They are doing, because you see that's part of the survival, but to scaling it up requires some deliberate or rather added efforts. Someone must know you exist, must know the nature of your business, and must know which opportunities exist there and connect you or link you up to those opportunities. So now with this new State Department, we are able to centralize a database and segment it in according to the sector in which MSME are involved in, according to the region and other demographic factors. We know how many women are involved in this, and it will also help us to appreciate the level of intervention vis-a-vis the needs of the MSME. Sometimes we assume that our MSME, all they need is money. No. Sometimes they just need business support. Sometimes they just need to be told there is a market, and then they can work out the financing for themselves. For example, in my state department, we have Uwezo Fund, we have equally Youth Enterprise Fund, of course we have Hustler Fund, we have KIE, Kenya Institute of Kenya Industrial Estate, that does financing to MSME in the manufacturing sector. We have MCEA sometimes, which gets opportunities for grants. But you know, if we do not know where these MSMEs are, you know, then you end up not serving the grassroots. I mean, giving them the appropriate intervention at any required time. So there was a time a member of parliament from the northern part of this country approached me and was saying, you know, in my constituency, I have this much money in terms of the Uwezo Fund, and people are not coming forward to take it. And so after some time, I told him, your people probably, they don't need financing. Maybe they need a market. Maybe they need you to tell them the value chain, to promote a value chain that is akin to them, which they can appreciate. For example, if you are coming from the northeastern part of this country, you know very well that they invest so much, even culturally, in livestock. This is what they know. This is what they've grown up knowing. They know how to tender for the livestock, for goats. So why can't we then create an enterprise from that economic activity? So what they need to know is to tell them, they don't need money, for example, to do textile, I'm just saying, but they will need money to, like, let's say, set up the feedlot, you know, the animal feedlot, so that during, let's say, the drought season, they know there will be an opportunity where a community now will bring their cows and their goats, their livestock, and offload them there. They need such enterprises, and you need to tell them there is a market for that, where maybe they can venture into slaughterhouses where they can be slaughtering those livestock, and then also using quality machinery and technology, so that the skins and the hides which are slaughtered there from the livestock that is slaughtered there can be preserved better and you know, taken to the tannery. So you need to give people a business idea, or help them on board a business idea that is commensurate to their culture, to their practice, to their skills. They may not need money, by the way. They may just need to show us where there's a market for livestock, and we are in business, so that we now encourage what we call market-driven financing, market-driven businesses, as opposed to so-and-so is doing a business, I can also do a business without caring for the market. So what my ministry is doing is that for any interventions that are done, especially the financing from our agencies, the one which I've mentioned, Youth Fund, Uwezo Fund, is that we will not develop a financial product if we have not worked out on the market. We need to know in that particular location of this country what value chains are prominent, what value chain have high profitability, and then we work now backward by now mobilizing MSMEs around that area. If the women, youth, and any other persons of the society, put them into groups, tell them even how they can register, and so that they acquire capacity to exploit that business opportunity.
Yeah, and it's a good thing they've talked about the interventions that your ministry is doing. Yeah. Let's now look at how MSMEs are changing the lives of those who have embraced it, and more specifically, the Mama Mboga and the Boda Boda guy who have been able to access the Hustler Fund.
Yeah, MSMEs, first and foremost, are changing not only their lives themselves, because the first benefit is to themselves as an MSME. Are you able to put food on the table? Yes, they're able to put food on the table. Can Mama Mboga sleep on an empty stomach? Probably no, because if worse come to us, we will sell mbogas and get some few mbogas to cook for the children. But you know, we need to see MSME growing. So like I've said, our economy is actually driven by MSME. And if you see that we are not doing well, it's only that we have not invested in enablers, given those MSME more enablers to enable them now grow their businesses. Let me pick a Mama Mboga, for example. Sometimes if you go across this country, you meet these scenarios where, and even you, maybe when you're growing up, there is that favorite Mama Mboga who your mom used to send you. You know, when you're in primary, go to Mama Nani to akukatia mboga, sindio? Kabanda kidogo. So then when you go to high school, you come back, it's the same Mama Mboga, kabanda kidogo. You go to university, same Mama Mboga. You start working here, same Mama Mboga, with that small capacity. Our MSMEs are very robust, but they're not growing. They're not competitive because they're not exploiting their full capacity due to various barriers like access to financing, access to sustainable markets, and lack of capacity also to meet the needs of the market. And also lack of even being guided that where do we have the viable business opportunities. So why is Hustler Fund there, for example? And you know, if you have an economy where majority of the people that you need to participate in the economy are experiencing such barriers, you have to find a way then of addressing the barriers. One of the barriers is access to financing. Why those MSME cannot access financing is that one, they're not even banked. I mean, most of them don't even have bank accounts. No financial institution knows them. Two, they don't have collateral system that can enable them. When you go to the bank and you're asking for credit, then you have a collateral. Three, the cost of credit in this country before this administration came up was way high. And because it was way high, people took advantage of the penetration of mobile technology and introduced digital lending. So you have predators now, they know there will always exist a need for financing at that level of the economy, a bottom of the economic pyramid, and you know we have numbers. So people came up with financial products which were so exploitative. And I remember when we were going around the country, and Mama Mboga will tell you that the cost of even accessing 200 bob is very exorbitant to an extent that if I'm given that 200 bob, there is nothing I'll be doing. Yes, even tomorrow you'll find me there, but I'm actually working for the shack because sometimes the 200 bob will cost even 10%. So on that day, and if you have any business that you are investing in capital of 200, 10% of interest for that particular day could actually be your profit. But in this case, you're using it to service your... So that's how now Hustler Fund came. So you see those Mama Mboga, they have demonstrated to us so far that they just need 500 bob, they need 1,000 bob, they need 3,000 bob to start off their day. And also because now we have kind of brought down the interest rates and it's 8% per annum through the Hustler Fund, these mamas are able to borrow that 200 bob, invest in mboga sukuma wiki, and they have something. Because now even the repayment period, I mean the interest is per annum. If I were to go to Kikomba with 200 bob or 500 bob, buy mbogas, come and sell, whatever I make up there, I'll calculate my markup. I know what to reinvest back to the business. So you start becoming sustainable in terms of your capital. But so what Hustler Fund did for those Mama Mbogas is that it has created for them an opportunity for them not to be, first of all, not to be exploited by the sharks. So they don't need to borrow digitally the way they were borrowing from other sharks who are charging them exorbitant. And now another opportunity is that now because of regular borrowing and repayment, they are building their financial score, their credit score. Now that credit score in the future will now launch them to the existing market. So they are going to transit from not being banked to being unbanked to being banked in the future, because as now you start increasing your revenue, you may need to bank your money and see how to invest. There is also an element in the hustler fund of savings, and these predators were not just doing predating on lending, they're also predating on saving, because you see MSME, there are people today, the market demand could be very high. I sell everything that I have, all my stock, I have money, I feel like I want to save, but I can't take 100 bob to go and line up in the bank. Through hustler fund, you can save. You have got flexibility, you borrow, you save, you can save voluntarily and be able to invest in your, reinvest back in your business to grow. So it's helping to bring them back to the economy by helping to nurture their credit worthiness, so that in future, once they gain trust, a credit score that can be trusted and acceptable in the market, they will be now at ease in accessing the financing from the credit market. The other bit that Hustler Fund is doing to them is that, of course, now the interest rate is 8% from the 10% per day, which will translate to about 360% per annum, which they used to be charged initially before it came in. The other bit that Hustler Fund is doing is that we appreciate the various shocks that makes MSME to go under and makes people to default even on the credits that they borrow, and therefore lowering their credit score. And one of the way that affects our MSME, of course, is housing, is house rents. Today, even if you're a mama mboga, as we approach the end of the month and you do have no idea how you are going to pay your rent, you start worrying. If landlord will knock, you'll sell everything and take it to the landlord and wait again to get money, because there is no differentiation between your money and what you use for business money. So what we've done is that the government on the side has come up with projects like now affordable housing, and this housing scheme is for the MSME. We are telling MSME, we give you we've come up with an intervention that can promote your little saving. You acquire a mortgage scheme in those affordable housing. You start paying little every day. You'll have your own housing for the next 15-20 years. You have your housing. If in the future people want you to access credit which require collateral, housing, you already start building your security.
All right. And because of the interest of time, I would like to weigh in on this year's Madaraka Day celebrations will be in my home county of Embu, and the theme is on SMEs. Can you kindly touch on that as we wrap up?
The theme is on MSME, not SME.
MSME, yes, MSME.
Yes, you know, this year we will be, as a country, rather as a nation, will be observing 60 years of self-determination rule of, or rather, if you want, of self-governance. And at the onset of the independence, we said as a nation that we wanted to govern ourselves, determine our, look at how we can preside over, like for example, the end of poverty, preside over, manage diseases, manage illiteracy that was happening. So we needed to self-determine ourselves. We are showing the world that we have got all it takes to rule ourselves and preside over economic development, preside over political freedom, govern ourselves and determine our future. But so it gives us an opportunity as a country 60 years down the line to take stock, one, of our achievement. And of course, you can see in terms of political, progress we have, okay? In terms of illiteracy, we have overcome it. because most of our population...
Unfortunately, we are running out of time.
Yeah, because you also took my time, so allow me also to eat your time, right? You know, I waited for almost 20 minutes for that, so it's good also to give me, to be fair.
Wrap it up now. All right.
To be fair with me. So now, in just trying to look at so far how we have progressed as a nation, we can say the greatest challenge that we have out of those critical issues that we said we were going to rule ourselves and come up with ways and approaches of overcoming as a nation, the illiteracy, the disease, and the poverty. We can say we are struggling so much on poverty. And this one speaks about economic development or rather economic independence. And we have said here that there is no way we are going to grow our economy if we don't place renewed focus on MSME and give them enablers that can increase their competitiveness or enhance their competitiveness in the market. So this year is theme Madaraka Day, as we reflect upon the milestone that we have worked as a nation, is also focused on also celebrating the contribution of MSMEs, through trading and also cooperatives. So it is MSME, trade, cooperatives, and revenue. So if you see all that, what it says is just appreciating the significant contribution of MSMEs in growing this country through also revenue, because we want to see how, of course, they're contributing to revenue, and we see how then we can grow them, develop them, and make sure that we expand the tax net, as we say, to ease the burden at the top.
Okay. Yeah. Indeed, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we have to go to Mombasa for that event that is being presided over by Deputy President, and he's currently speaking. Let's first of all listen in.
Today, Your Excellencies, in transferring Joint Operations Center to Kenya Coast Guard Service and stimulating the Light Coastal app launch of 19 fishing boats supported by the European Union under the Go Blue project. It is an important development since April 19th, when we flagged off the first batch of 8 in Kwale. With this project, we unlock the potential of large sea opportunities in coastal urban centers for sustainable and inclusive economic growth. This will result in creation of employment while conserving and sustainably using the coastal and marine environment, as well as promoting effective and integrated maritime governance. Your Excellencies, I take note that some of the key activities in the project, this project is undertaking are aimed at accelerating sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic urban coastal growth. This is an important component in job creation, especially for the youth and women through skills and value chain development. This is by enhancing maritime governance through integrated and effective law enforcement. It will contribute to the regional and global security and create a favorable environment for economic development. Your Excellencies, the government appreciates these initiatives because it will also deepen the relationship between the coastal communities and maritime law enforcement actors. Further, we welcome the innovative security app, the Light Coastal app, Usalama Baharini, Kenya, developed by the Kenya Coast Guard Service in collaboration with the Expertise France and Climario project. It will ease the exchange of information and coordination at regional level. We are determined to ensure that the blue economy contributes to the realization of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. In conclusion, I recognize the immense support by the political leadership of the Coast region for this project and other blue economy growth initiatives. It is our collective responsibility to ensure successful implementation. Your Excellencies, I want to take this opportunity to affirm and appreciate the 6 governors of the Coast region for their active participation in the implementation of projects within the blue economy sector. I also want to salute their leadership for accepting that though we may have come in through different political formations, elections are over, and this is a time to work and serve the people who elected us. Your Excellencies, President William Ruto and I have made a conscious decision to embrace devolution in totality and to work very closely with the county governments to realize faster economic growth. And I really want to say that here in the coastal region, we have very good working relationship with all the 6 county governments, and that to a great extent is responsible for the economic growth that is taking place in this region. So governors, once more, I want to assure you of the support of the President and I, and indeed the rest of the national government, to support devolution, to support your activities, so that we all work together because we serve the same people. Let me take this opportunity to applaud the European Union and all the ambassadors present and those who are not here for the great support you are according to our country and to our people. We don't take it for granted. These initiatives here at the coast and the rest of Kenya are improving lives. And I want to say that the blue economy space is very critical in our national development. As we struggle with mitigating the effects of climate change, the government and our partners must come up with other initiatives that are not subject to the effects of climate change, and hence creating a lot of time and effort on the blue economy sector. So I really want to thank our development partners and assure you of our cooperation. Any time will be available so that we can be able to make progress together. Governor Mombasa, I've heard you about the challenges that you have with the Ministry of Lands. As I've told you, I want to invite you to come to Nairobi when you get time, and I'll be able to call all the stakeholders for a roundtable meeting so that we can unlock all the issues that are slowing down your pace. We don't want to slow you down. In fact, we want to encourage you to keep up the pace of President William Ruto, which is a very fast pace. So it is my business on behalf of the President to make sure that nobody is slowed down. So any government ministry or state agency that is slowing down, please come and report them to me. I'll call them, we'll have a sit down, and we'll agree that we need to let everybody move, because this country needs a fast move. It needs a fast pace, because we need to catch up with the many challenges that we have. So again, wangwana wa Pwani, tunashukuru sana kuwa hapa. Huyu muungwana Salim Mvurya ananikaza sana kuja hapa kila wakati. Ananisukuma, na ni mzuri, si kwa ubaya. Pia mimi nafurahia kuwa hapa tusukume gurudumu la maendeleo. Na ndio pia tujuane zaidi na tutengeneze urafiki. Kwa sababu najua pale nyuma mlikuwa mnachenga sisi kidogo. Lakini sasa mimi nitakaa hapa mpaka tuingiane, tutembee safari moja, so that tukifika pale mbele tukue watu moja, kwa sababu ni muhimu kupanga huko mbele na kupanga maneno yetu ya kwamba sisi katika serikali kuu na nyinyi nyote hapa tunatembea pamoja. And you know, the Coast Region is a great beneficiary of the new administration, the Ruto administration, because you know the first economic intervention President William Ruto made on his ascendancy to the presidency was to restore the port of Mombasa that had been taken away. We therefore want to say that we care for this region. We are aligned to your aspirations. We are aligned to your challenges. And together we shall make progress for the benefit not only of the people of the Coast Region, but the people of Kenya. And the contribution of the Coast Region to the overall economic transformation of this country cannot be overemphasized. And matters blue is what is going to help our country. And therefore we shall spend time and resources in the Coast Region again and again, So Waziri, when you have something else, please call me. Governor Lam, you have said you'll call me for something, I'll come. Governor, the tall guy, we want to know what fertilizer they put on you for that hate. We'll come to Kilifi, and we are more than willing to come and work here, as we also enjoy the tourism facilities that are within this great region. Kwa hayo mengi na machache, asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki. Thank you very much.
Kindly, Your Excellency, we can sit as we prepare for signing of our document.
Kitwek FM, Kegosin.
My name is Carol Mill and I am 9 years old. And my future plans are to grow up and continue be hardworking and become a footballer when I grow up.
She is my sister's child. I cannot disobey.
So, the ladybird went on holiday. Let's find out exactly what the ladybird had.
Today I'm going to show you guys on how to make the yummiest marble cupcakes at the comfort of your home.
We have Arushi and she's going to show us how to make a butterfly.
Where do you think you're going? It's so late. What's wrong? I said I can't stay.
Swala zote na sanamu zimfikie Hashimu.
Na ndio maana wale wengine wasiokuwa na imani na Mwenyezi Mungu huamini baadhi ya sehemu, bara zingine huamini kuwa sehemu kubwa ya Mungu mkubwa ni sehemu alikozalika kwa mama yake, kwa sababu akiwa na itikadi kuwa baada ya kuzalika akaweza kuishi katika dunia hii, hawezi kupita tena katika ile njia akaenda kuishi katika tumbo la mama yake.
Wakati mwanadamu anapoumbwa katika tumbo la mamake, basi malaika Jibril hutumwa na kuweza kumtajia jinsi maisha yake yatakavyokuwa, jinsi atapopata riziki, na pia jinsi maisha yake yatakavyokuwa, iwapo atapata furaha na amani ama iwapo atakuwa na mitihani kadhaa katika maisha yake.
Unataka kusema ujui sisi ni akina nani?
Ni kama sikukumbuki.
Tiffany, sio wewe.
What are you talking about?
Mama Paul hajakwambia. Please, if you find her, tell her Joel is normal.
I pray that God gives you and the rest of the family the strength to pull through this.
But I just want you to know we are in this together.
Amen. Amen.
Is it something that will get me in trouble?
It's the second time I'm getting this question today.
I hope you're not trying to show them that you can be a better daughter-in-law.
Really, Gasheri?
Thank you, but your services are no longer needed here.
Unajua mimi hata naweza endelea na job yangu ya content creation. Is that even a career?
Huyu ni kichwa ngumu huyu.
Kwenye mkulima tutaangazia ufugaji wa ng'ombe wa maziwa, kisha tujadili lishe kwa mifugo.
Tunaweza tukasema ya kwamba hata katika vyakula vyetu ambavyo tunavitumia nyumbani, uwezi ukatumia ugali peke yake. At least ni vizuri utachanganya na vitu zingine ndio hiyo ugali ikaweze kuteremka. So hata katika mimea ama mifugo zetu ni vizuri uweze kuzichanganyia nayo iweze kupata hiyo ladha ya vyakula.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1.
You're still watching KBC News Check. On the second hour, we'll be talking about matters road safety. But before we do that, we are keeping check with what is happening in the ICT Week 2023. And currently speaking is ICT Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owal. Let's first of all listen in. They are at Safari Park, Nairobi.
Locally assembled smartphones in the market so that we are able to facilitate digital inclusivity by way of smart devices. The other concern, ladies and gentlemen, is ensuring that all citizens, including women and those able differently and even older, access ICT services in meaningful and productive ways. We must also think about how ICT devices can have features that make it easy for our people to make the best out of them and transform their lives. In terms of digital literacy, because if we are rolling out all this massive ICT infrastructure across the board, then the Kenyan population must also be adequately equipped by way of digital skills. So digital literacy is a key thematic area within our digital master plan, and we are putting in place all efforts to ensure that as many people as possible are adequately equipped by way of digital skills so that we can facilitate optimal uptake of the ICT infrastructure that we have rolled into the marketplace. So we have enhanced efforts on digital skills through the Ajira and Jitume programs, and currently we train 120,000 youth in digital skills, and we have established 240 ICT hubs out of the possible 1,450 that I had mentioned earlier. So we believe that we will equip the youth by way of skills, we will equip the youth by way of digital jobs. In fact, through the Jitume program, we are moving the youth from learners of ICT skills to instant earners within the digital space. As they start training, correspondingly, we are engaging global technological companies to ensure that we are able to identify and match them up with digital jobs that are available within the global digital space. And you will be shocked when the first program was launched by His Excellency the President at the Kabete TVC in late last year, I think it was early December. Some of those youth who are at that training facility told us that, and these are fellows who actually undertook their Form 4 exams last year, they are now earning an equivalent of about 200,000 Kenya shillings per month through digital jobs. Compare and contrast this with somebody who went the full hog of our normal education system, has gone up to university, has got the requisite certification, but is now back staying with our mothers within the village because there are no white-collar jobs. So this just amplifies the fact that the only space we have for purposes of job creation for our youth is within the digital space. And through the ongoing development of an e-commerce strategy, ladies and gentlemen, we see prospects of businesses leveraging digital technologies for growth, and Kenya being an active player in the global digital economy. We also know that e-commerce cannot thrive without the essential supporting infrastructure. And in this regard, we have reactivated efforts to operationalize a national addressing system for Kenya that will enable technological aided identification and location of places, ladies and gentlemen. Once we have that in place, we are at the level of the policy. If we have this in place, it will be a game changer as far as the way we conduct our business is concerned. Equally important in this regard, ladies and gentlemen, is a national digital identity. It does not make sense to tell Kenyans to visit government offices physically to consume government services if we manage to digitalize all government services. Kenyans should be able to consume government services from the comfort of wherever they are, from their homes or wherever. Okay? So what we are thinking of doing to facilitate or to create an enabling environment for this is to come up with a framework through which government is able to identify the Kenyan public technologically. So we are pursuing a digital identity. We are already on the benchmarking exercise. We have talked to Estonia, we have talked to Pakistan, we have talked to India to see if there is anything they have done well which we can adapt and customize to meet to our own peculiar situation. And our proposition is that by March next year, each and every Kenyan should be on a digital identity. And that will sort out a lot of our problems. Perhaps even the jams we witness in town will be a thing of the past because very few people will have to be going into visiting the government offices. So it is something that we want to pursue. And let me clarify that when we talk of digital identity, we must look at it from a conceptual perspective. We are not saying we are reinventing the Huduma number. Whenever we talk of digital identity, people claim that, oh, you know, the Kenya Kwanza government wants to reinvent the Huduma number. We are not reinventing the Huduma number. What we are saying is that Kenyans need to be on a digital identity to facilitate optimal consumption of government services while leveraging on technological platforms. And in this regard, we want to pursue this digital identity to a logical conclusion. As we prospect on e-commerce, ladies and gentlemen, the challenges with online transactions point to the need to continually educate customers so as to enhance their confidence in online platforms. And we are now rolling out the national public key infrastructure to enhance trust by issuing digital signatures and certificates. We are also enhancing the capacities of our cybersecurity systems. One thing that comes to mind, the question that most people pose to us, in the face of this rapid digitization and digitalization agenda, are we not exposing our country to cyber threats? And the answer is no. Kenya cannot be an exception. There are many countries which are best case examples of success based on digitalization. We cannot be left behind. We must go the same way. But we are also aware to the fact that as we do this, we must have a comprehensive risk mitigation framework built around our digitalization agenda so that we do not just ensure that there is privacy of data, there is also protection of data, and we are not exposed to cyber threats. And in this regard, we have already established and operationalized the Office of the Data Commissioner to execute the functional mandate of facilitating data privacy and data protection on one hand. On the other hand, we have also constituted a multifaceted team consisting of agencies from integral components of government, starting with the Ministry of Interior, our own Ministry of ICT, the Communications Authority, the Data Office of the Data Commissioner, the National Security Intelligence Service, NS4, so that continuously as we digitalize, we are also scanning what is happening in the operational environment, analyzing the trends in cybersecurity, and coming up with corresponding mitigation measures, ladies and gentlemen. So if you ask me that question, are we exposing ourselves? My answer would be no. We have got an adequate or a comprehensive risk mitigation framework in this regard, ladies and gentlemen. The national KCRT continues to be upgraded, and efficient threat detection mechanisms and educating the public and stakeholders on best cyber practices to foster productive use of the internet are continuously being undertaken, ladies and gentlemen. The global digital technological revolution is far ahead of sector reforms in many countries, and the need to constantly attune to the emerging realities in the global ICT landscape cannot be too strongly emphasized. Keeping track of this crucial issue, both for purposes of keeping pace with the technology and having in place the necessary legal, policy, and regulatory is imperative, ladies and gentlemen. As we do all this, we are ensuring that all the interventions we are embarking on are anchored on a sound policy, legal, and regulatory practice. So the comfort I want to give you is that where we have got certain policies or laws that need to be reviewed, we have already embarked on the process of reviewing them. Where there are gaps within our regulatory framework, again, in the same vein, we have embarked on the process of engaging stakeholders, starting with you people, to tell us or to agree on what we need to do from a policy and regulatory framework, so that everything we are doing is anchored on a sound policy, legal, and regulatory footing. And I've stated before in many forums, and I want to repeat, that as a ministry is to be as participatory as possible. We want to listen to as many stakeholders as possible as we embark on our digitalization agenda, and whenever or wherever you feel there's a gap that needs to be filled from a legal, policy or regulatory perspective, we are ready and available to hold such discussions with you. We agree on the way forward, and we ensure that the same is pursued to a logical inclusion, including but not limited to enactment.
It's happening live from the Safari Park Hotel, where we are having the ICT Week, which has been officially opened by Information, Communication and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo. Just to mention some of the things that he has been able to point out, that he will ensure that the government will assist and equip youth through digital jobs so that they may transit from being learners to earners, and also the government will scale up the development of e-commerce in the country. My colleague Regina Manyara is currently keeping tabs with that story. Will bring us a more detailed report on that. Remember, the theme is digital inclusion. Allow now me to go back to our topic of discussion on these hours. I had told you earlier on is that we will be looking at matters road safety. Now, road safety in Kenya, or road accident in Kenya, are the third leading cause of fatalities or death after malaria and HIV, and over 3,000 deaths each year. If you ask me, that is way too many. 50% of fatalities, unfortunately, are pedestrians. There are road safety campaigns targeting motorists, targeting schools. We are going to be delving into that discussion. And without further ado, allow me to introduce my panelist. He is not a new face here. He has come here a number of times, and we have discussed a number of road safety measures with him. He is David Kiari, who is the Road Safety Association of Kenya chairman. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Just next to him, we have John Katimbwa, who is the National Vice Chairman, Matatu Welfare Association. Karibu sana, Bwana John.
Thank you.
Just next to him, we have Philip Kipchumba Kosgei. Philip is the Interim Secretary General of Long Distance Operators. And I think I should start from there. Bwana Kosgei, what exactly is the Long Distance Operators?
Thank you very much.
What is your mandate?
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
This is an association that we are still building up since last year when we had a problem with the governor in Nairobi when he wanted the long distance operators, especially from North Rift, to proceed and go to Green Park for the congestion of the town. We realized that we were not represented well, and we hurriedly came together, those who were affected, and I was given this position as the interim Secretary General to be able to spearhead the negotiations and see how best we can operate within Nairobi and with the other counties with ease. I think that's how we are, and we are actually doing a lot of progress in ensuring that we make it a real formal issue. But in this case, I think we are able to negotiate these issues that are affecting.
Very quickly, you're talking about long distance operators. Yes. Which routes do you ply?
I ply North Rift, and the South Rift, but we also had the group from the central part and even Mombasa, because if you remember what the governor said, he talked about the long distance which were affecting up to Mombasa, but later on he changed and he focused on North Rift. But in this long distance operators, we are intending to look at the welfare of all the operators that move from the city then to the various counties in the countrywide.
All right, we will be delving a little bit more on that, because we've had some issues there when it comes to long travel. Sometimes they had been banned, especially the night travel had been banned.
Exactly.
And actually a lot of people brought about a lot of issues, but it was quite necessary because of the road accidents that we had. But if you have streamlined that sector, we will be knowing now. Wanakeri, these numbers, they are staggering, 3,000. The last time we were talking about road safety here, a lot of the blame, you actually squarely put it on NTSA in terms of how they are handling the security, this road safety issues in the country. Has that situation changed?
The fact of things is that even the numbers you are talking about there are not the real numbers. We are talking of 6,000 Kenyans losing their lives. We have the report from the World Health Organization. The numbers we are normally given here are less, but the real numbers we are talking of from 6,000.
That's way too many.
Too many. And when I was complaining about NTSA, because it's the authority we really fought for, to make sure that it spearheads, making sure that it brings carnage down. But you remember before NTSA, we had a body called TLB, which were dealing mainly on matatus. And when we were talking of NTSA to come in force, to have an authority, it was a body to make sure that it covers each and everything, from the police, long distance vehicles, that is trucks, any road users, so that we can be brought together and have a discussion about how can we reduce these accidents. But this has not been happening. It happened when NTSA was formed. You remember during Njue, when he was a chairman, and things changed. But with the time, things went back to where they were.
Now, when Michuki took over as the CS for transport, you do remember there were some radical changes in how the road safety, and especially for matatus. But if you look at that time and now, it's quite different. There's no sanity in the roads. The seat belts, the speed governors, the unroadworthy vehicles are back on the roads. What are you doing as the Matatu Welfare Association to ensure that your association members do everything that they can to ensure the road safety standard as outlined in law, as outlined by NTSA, are followed to the letter?
Yes, thank you very much. I quite concur with you. When Michuki took over, he brought in a radical surgery to ensure that our roads were safe. But without further enhancement or upholding the standards he had set, the situation has kind of deteriorated. But I will not blame it entirely on the operators, because we are trying what we can to educate our members on the need of maintaining the recommended speed and being careful on the roads, so that you do not, our drivers do not overtake or drive carelessly, because that's one area which has a lot of loopholes, which makes our roads unsafe. So we have a major campaign. In fact, we shall be soon rolling it out, where we want further the drivers should be taken for medical tests, because at times you could be losing your sight without knowing you are losing your sight. It's only when you go for a medical checkup is when you realize, oh, kumba, I'm blind. So we are coming up with a lot of campaigns. They're in the offing, of which we will recommend that drivers can go for medical tests in terms of eyesight, hearing, and so on, pressure, and so on, so that the people who are being licensed are medically fit. So that, because that's an area which has not been exploited.
Yes.
We only come to blame. But have we done any surgery, any postmortem to find out why such challenges persist? Then, secondly, I would equally say, with the road network, if you recall very well, we used to have a lot of accidents happening at the Rakanithi bridge.
Yeah.
What
Nithi
happened?
Bridge.
When we complained that the engineering part of it was not up to standard, and the engineers went, visited that place, expanded the road, put a perimeter wall in between, it became something of the past. So it's to Rift Valley. If you recall very well, people were saying there are demons around Sichangwani, Salga, which are demanding for blood. There was nothing like that. That was just a myth. The truth of the matter was the road network, the engineering part of it. So the moment the engineers visited the place, after we had sat down with the CS for transport by then, James
Macharia.
Yeah, James Macharia. Surely they went and addressed that place. They expanded the roads, put a perimeter wall. Now, at least the death rates or the accidents at such black spots have gone down. So we are still really pursuing that line such that other black spots are equally addressed. Because,
I concur.
Yeah, because imagine you are on your right side of the road, but a truck in front has lost brakes. It comes and hits you. You are to blame. You are not to blame. You are very innocent. But because of the construction of the road, you become a victim. So we are looking at it to sensitize and lobby to the government so that they improve the road network. Because we are losing too many lives, and families are being shattered as a result of that. And as a welfare, which is a member of Federation of Public Transport Sector, we are really advocating for that. We need a comprehensive approach towards the reduction of road carnage. Yeah.
Kiarie,
yes,
his sentiments quite make some sense, because looking at some of the roads that over the years, even people thought there were demons there. Unfortunately, it's because of how they have been constructed, or even the drivers themselves. He has talked about having a proposal to have drivers have a medical test, and as a way maybe of reducing accidents, and maybe retraining, because last week I hosted the Deputy Director NTSA in charge of safety, and he actually mentioned something like in the line of that, because looking at me, my driver's license is over 20 years old, and I've never gone for any retraining. I've never been checked for eyesight and everything, and this maybe could be a way of reducing road carnage in Kenya.
In fact, that is one of the things which are causing so many accidents in this country. And if you recall, when we talk of Michuki, these were some of the things. That time I was an owner of some matatus, and we were complaining we wanted to be given self-regulation. What does self-regulation mean? That is why we came up with the SACCOs. SACCOs were there to self-regulate themselves. But who was supposed to man these SACCOs? It's the associations. We had only two associations. That is Matatu Welfare Association and Matatu Owners Association. All members were supposed to be in one of these associations. What was the real purpose of these circles?
All right, hold the thought. We need to cross over. There is the inauguration of the Military Veteran Advisory Committee, and currently speaking is military man Francis Ogola. Let's first of all listen in and come back to the discussion.
Of Military Veterans Act number 18 of 2022 by Parliament of Kenya, which was assented to by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces on 13th June 2022. Today marks an important day in the Kenyan Defense Forces as we witness a major milestone of launching the first Veterans Advisory Committee in the history of KDF. Operationalization of the Military Veterans Act is happening at a time when KDF operational demands arising from emergency security threats has led to long-term deployment and commitment of a large number of troops, both in combat zones and rear areas. The prolonged operations have led to emergence of various social challenges amongst the service personnel and their families. This includes post-traumatic stress disorders, popularly known as PTSD, physical and mental disabilities, family wrangles, absenteeism, drug and substance abuse, and high turnover rates. These challenges, more often than not, are carried forward into retirement. As a result of these challenges, compounded with rising cost of living and lack of structures to support retired KDF personnel, some of the retirees have been subjected to poor living conditions. In addition, the cantonment and long-term deployment of military personnel inhibit the smooth transition from military to civilian life, thereby limiting the social opportunities available for them in the society. Therefore, you being the first advisory committee of the military veterans have a huge responsibility of setting a firm foundation with sound structures on which the future of military veterans lie. I promise you my support and that of the entire KDF leadership as you navigate through this assignment. With those few remarks, it's now my pleasure to invite our Cabinet Secretary for Defense to make his keynote address. CS, sir.
General Francis Ogola, the Principal Secretary for Defense, Patrick Mariro, the Vice Chief of Defense Forces, Lieutenant General John Mangi, Service Commanders, General Officers, Chairman of the Advisory Committee, Director of Veteran Affairs, Senior Officers, Committee Members, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's with great pleasure and distinct honor to join you this morning preside over the inaugural meeting of this very important committee on military veterans. The committee is charged with the honest responsibility of crafting policies, conducting research on matters relating to the veterans, as well as the welfare of their dependents in consultation with the distinguished committee members. Ladies and gentlemen, let me state from the onset that KDF training, culture, tradition, and exposure uniquely prepares its members to execute assigned tasks with precision. Whether in active service or retired, KDF personnel have unparalleled advantage over personnel holding similar positions in other sectors of our country. And in this regard, I am confident that this advisory committee will deliver on its mandate for the common good of all retired KDF colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen, reflecting on the mandate of the Kenya Defence Forces, it reminds us, all of us in this room, of its odious nature in execution as enshrined in Article 241, Article 3 of the Constitution. And to this end, suffice to say, KDF personnel put their lives on line for the defense of the nation, yet these gallant sons and daughters of the Republic have been disappearing into oblivion in the past due to lack of structures that could comprehensively cater for all the welfare needs of the retired KDF personnel. Today marks an important day in the history of the Ministry of Defense as we witness and start a major milestone of launching the first Veterans Advisory Committee and the implementation of the Veterans Act. The committee was gazetted on the 1st of April 2023, and they joined the list of the existing welfare cluster establishments within and out.
Live on your screen is Defense Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale there, officially launching the inauguration of the Military Veteran Advisory Committee right here in the capital, Nairobi, talking about the committee that will be formulated, will have a good way of properly honoring the men and women of the Kenya Defense Forces. Earlier on, the Chief of Defense Forces, Francis Omondi Ogola there, talking about how this is a game changer, especially to honor our men and women who defend our country. We have our reporters on the ground who will be bringing a much detailed report in our subsequent bulletin from 1 p.m. Just in case you just joined us, this is News Check, and we are looking at matters of road safety. And before we took that feed from Nairobi, we were talking about how we can make our roads better. I'm having the Matatu Welfare Association National Vice Chairman, John Katimbwa, Philip Kipchumba Koskei, who is the Interim Secretary General of Long Distance Operators, and David Carey, Road Safety Association of Kenya. Yes. Apologies, we had to cross over to Aden Duale. Yeah. And you were talking about how you believe we can to actually change the fortunes of the country when it comes to matters road safety.
We can change because, as I was saying, I was talking about self-regulation. The government cannot be everywhere. The government will not know that a certain driver needs to be checked his eyes. The police, even on the road, will not know the behavior of the driver. But when it is self-regulation, and that is what we've been calling for, if these two associations are given power, the power they had during Michuki time, that they are able to control these circles. Because today we have even circles, so many even you don't know them. Because any circle goes to NTSA, register, nobody is monitoring them. We have even circles which are not existing. So we are asking the government if they can give these two associations the power to make sure that they are able to hold these circles accountability, so that the association with the circles will be able to work out to know that these drivers should be checked. That's not the work of the government. It's the work of the association to do, to make sure that there's a doctor who comes there regularly to make sure that he checks the drivers' eyes, high blood pressure, what disease, because some of these accidents, as he has indicated, are caused by some of very little things like these diseases. So what we are saying, and our request is, like now we have an association of long distance. If the government can embrace, because they are the only people who know what they can do to solve their problem. We had a problem the other day, Matatu people complaining that one Matatu causes an accident, the whole circle is banned. And it is only one Matatu. Then the question is, you cannot buy your Matatu and start operating. It must be in an association, in a circle setting. So when you take your Matatu there, you are nowhere there. The Matatu the circle should take care of the driver, should take care of everything, even of the road. The guy, 3 days later, he died. So who is supposed to be blamed? Is it that Makanga? Is it the owner of the vehicle? Is it the circle? Who should be blamed? If there was proper self-regulation, would have asked the association what happened. They would have followed to the circle. Then the association will give NTSA the green light. Can that circle be banned? but not NTSA to just go and ban a SACCO. And they don't have enough evidence of exactly what happened. But the owners, they will be able to interrogate. And if they don't have if the SACCO does not have proper evidence, now the association will give the NTSA a go-ahead. Can you ban that SACCO? But you don't wait NTSA to ban a SACCO. Something, and ask yourself, that incident happened. That SACCO was never banned. Another incident happened. An accident happened. Just one vehicle. Then you find the whole SACCO has been banned. It was only one vehicle.
All right. I see, Sekjen, you're nodding to that. Still on the same,
yes.
Can you tell us what you guys are doing to ensure that there's road safety adherence, especially for long operators? Because these drivers get tired. Sometimes they sleep on the wheel. And there were some regulations earlier on that demanded that if it's a bus, it needs to have, and it's long distance, it needs to have at least 2 drivers. And they should also be taking some break in between.
Okay, fine. Let me digress a bit and try to dissect this thing in the manner that the nation should understand what is happening in the sector. Truly, we have these associations, but are we connected to the people who operate? Are we truly the members who are felt by the operators, or we have lost them? We said that during the time of Michuki, things were working well. It's true. But then where did we begin losing it? We began losing this thing when we had associations just by names. We have the authority that is supposed to regulate those who come to the sector, missing the point, causing us now to have an influx, a lot of people who are operating without the agenda. They don't have the common bond, they don't have the focus, they don't know why they're in the industry, therefore even posing danger of really killing all the SACCOs and losing that issue of uplifting the living standards of people. Remember, when we formed these SACCOs, other than enabling the government to be able to manage the issue of roads, it was also meant to uplift the lives of some people. But we are realizing that the people who are operating now, who have been licensed, not all are bona fide members or real members who are supposed to be operating. And that's why it's difficult for us to control this menace of road carnage. For example, there is somebody who corrupted his way to register the SACCO or a company. And this person is coming with a lot of impunity. You've seen people fighting on the parking lots, struggling to get a space and all these things. Why are they fighting? It's because the regulator didn't consult the associations. The regulator didn't see the scientific need for us to increase another number of operators, hence causing a lot of confusion and unearthed competition. In this unearthed competition now, you realize that we will have reckless driving, we will have so many issues that will come. We have this thing called issues that causes these accidents to happen. Remember, it cannot simply happen. There must be some factors. Maybe there is a motorbike, maybe there is a pedestrian, maybe there is something. There are so many factors. But in this forum, I just want to state that the associations that we have not received the necessary support from the players. Where I stand from, I am a player. When we were having that problem of getting out of CBD, then where did I lose my associations? Why did I have to come up again with another association? Then there is a need for us to be called by the same government, because we cannot lead the government, they need to lead us. So as much as we want to disconnect them, we must have someone who is going to lead us so that we can have a working association, we can have working SACCOs, because if a SACCO is not working, it's a moribund, it's just there. The names are just moving on the roads, but we don't have any structure that is supposed to support this thing. That's where the problem is. We are having operators who are not genuine. We are having people who, through impunity, are really exercising and doing the business like as if they are in their own homes.
Then there will be a big issue if you guys are left to self-regulate yourself, just like Kiari is saying.
Not exactly. Not exactly. You know what happened? Michuki was on the road.
Okay.
He knew what was happening. He never used the boardroom to manage the matatu sector. He walked down there and see what is happening. We have the cooperative societies who have formed this. We have the companies who have formed the companies here. What are they doing? What are the standards that they are looking at? We have the authority and TSA. What are the standards? If you are to form a company limited, It is not the same as forming a SACCO. So, and what is the need of a SACCO? Like, for example, the vehicles going to Kisii, the South Nyanza. We have over 43 SACCOs. Do we really need all of them? No. And what will happen? An healthy competition. People will be fighting for something to do. And in that context, yes. Now we lose them from controlling them on how they should be going. Number two is that we have conflict of interest. The people who are registering these things have connections. They are either police, they are either some of ROC and TSA members. We have city council people who collude to form SACCOs and companies which can never be regulated or can even be self-regulated. Now, my last point is this.
All right.
Please allow me to finish that point. Allow me to finish that. I just want to urge the associations that are forming, including the one I'm forming, that we must be in touch with the societies. Remember, if we have 400 SACCOs or companies, how many are they registered? They are hardly 100.
All right.
Where are the rest?
Let's hear what
Thank you very much. He has brought up...
And the self-regulation, I still have an issue with that, and I'm quite sure a lot of Kenyans will have some reservations in terms of letting the industry, as chaotic as it is, to self-regulate themselves.
I take the challenge positively in this context.
Okay.
NTSA and especially the Department of Cooperative Development in this country are a big letdown. Brown envelopes is what it speaks. You are bribed, you register a SACCO, break away SACCO, because basically we said a SACCO should not have less than 30 vehicles. You'll find that SACCOs that are being formed have less than 30 vehicles, and they are being licensed.
Does NTSA know about this?
Exactly. Why not? Exactly. See, I've talked of brown envelopes.
I'm quite sure they are watching this and they're quite uncomfortable with
It is a fact. How do they give out licenses to people who don't meet the requirement? The requirement is a minimum of 30 vehicles. Period. That's what we agreed on. Then you find the...
Case in point. Do you have case in point of SACCO that has less than 30 vehicles?
Oh my God. My goodness.
There are many.
There are many.
All right. Okay. Wrap it up.
So what I'm saying is NTSA should stick to the rules of the game. That 30 vehicles, nothing less than that. The Minister of Cooperative, Department of Cooperative, should not encourage breakaway SACCOs. Because we differ with the Kiari here, I go form my own because I want to be called a chairman. What's being a chairman?
So you totally believe that the NTSA is not doing exactly what it should be doing?
It should, and the Minister of Cooperative particularly, the Department of Cooperative. In fact, look at it. We are meant, any SACCO should hold elections by 30th April of subsequent year. How many have held the AGMs? I take them head on. Let them prove.
There seem to be a lot of issues there, but unfortunately
there are a lot of issues. So, you know, these are some of the things that create confusion, then lead to self-regulation not being upheld.
Okay.
Because if you have
unfortunately, guys, we are out of time, and
when I was talking of self-regulation, when I was talking of self-regulation, that is exactly why we succeeded during Michuki time. Because if the association have been given the power, then even if they have the power, there is a regulator, that is NTSA, which should not license a SACCO before the associations approve. That is all we are saying.
I think I should get you the NTSA Deputy Director. We were here, we had a candid conversation, but unfortunately, guys, we've run out of time. Thank you so much indeed, Bwana David Kiari, who is the Road Safety Association of Kenya, John Katimbo, who is the National Vice Chairman of Matatu Welfare Association, and Philip Kipchumba Koskei, who is the Interim Secretary General of Long Distance Operators. This is a conversation that we really need to have when we have the NTSA guys, because we can be able to pin them. But unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday. My name is Bentroy Njue, and Wangeshi is a sign language interpreter. I'm now giving the baton to my colleague Khalid Abdullahi with Kurunzi Mashinani and Tamrin. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah.